Number 10. Portia de Rossi. In her 2010 groundbreaking memoir, Unbearable Lightness, Portia de Rossi reveals the pain and illness that haunted her for decades, from a time she was a 12-year-old girl working as a model in Australia through her early rise to fame as a cast member of the hit television show Ally McBeal. She also detailed her struggles with and while living in the public eye, and recounted how she survived on 300 calories a day and took 20 laxatives daily, trying to maintain a weight of 82 pounds. According to her memoir, Portia both starved herself and putting her life in danger and concealing from herself and everyone around her the seriousness of her illness, and described the elaborate rituals around food that came to dominate hours of every day. The actress did this all while terrified that the truth of her sexuality would be exposed in the tabloids, and revealed the heartache and fear that comes from living a life in the closet, which was only magnified by her unrelenting desire to be thinner, more in control of her body, and the number of calories she consumed and spent. But it wasn't all bad. Portia also recounted how falling in love with Ellen DeGeneres helped her develop a healthy body image, embrace her sexual orientation, and gain inner peace. Number 9. Janice Dickinson. A strange encounter with Bill Cosby in 1982 was described in the 2002 memoir No Lifeguard on Duty by the self-anointed world's first supermodel Janice Dickinson. In her book, she reveals real moments that she experienced with Cosby and goes into great detail when it comes to taking back the narrative. Janice mentioned how Cosby allegedly answered his hotel room door in nothing but a towel and kissed her. He then took her to dinner and suggested that she follow him back upstairs. The memoir was pretty explosive at the time and would come back into relevance in 2018 when she chose to testify in court to Cosby's crimes. The comedian was once known to millions as America's Dad, famous for his clean brand of family comedy and his award-winning work with children's programming. So Janice's memoir really did help expose Cosby's double life, as eventually more than 50 women came out claiming that the star slipped them illicit substances and took advantage of them while they were unconscious. And in April of 2018, an 80-year-old Cosby was sentenced to 3 to 10 years in prison, although he would eventually be released in 2021. Number 8. Corey Feldman. In his deeply personal 2013 memoir, child star and teen heartthrob Corey Feldman exposes the darkness that loomed behind his rise to fame. Although he undoubtedly had a successful career, famous friendships, and high-profile relationships, Corey reveals a side to his star-studded life that no one knew about, and it's full of tragedy. He came from a broken family that he emancipated himself from at the age of 15. As a teenager, he suffered physical, emotional, and sexual violence. The Stand By Me star was also arrested and struggled with addiction throughout his time as a successful working actor. But most shockingly, Corey also implied that his close friend Corey Haim's lifelong battle with addiction was the result of being preyed upon by a powerful older man. Following the book's publication came rampant speculations about the identity of the offender, and it's something that readers still argue about to this day. His memoir, Choreography, weaves a heartbreaking story of pain and survival that reveals just how dark the industry can really be. Number 7. The Doja Cat photo. At the Billboard Music Awards, Cara Delevingne and Megan Thee Stallion were seated next to each other, and Doja Cat was seated in the front row in front of them. Several clips of the moment went viral on Twitter as fans pointed out that it looked like Megan and Doja were trying to have a conversation with one another, but Cara was constantly interrupting. The whole night was crazy. Whether she was literally on the floor trying to take photos of Doja or sticking her tongue out at Megan, her inappropriate antics eventually led people to accuse the model of fetishizing black women. You might think that's a bit of a reach, but Megan definitely seemed uncomfortable with that kind of attention on her, and even posted a photo to Instagram of her and Doja next to each other with Cara photoshopped out of the picture. It wasn't exactly subtle because everyone saw the original version of the photo, which shows that Cara was actually sitting between them at the time. Number 6. Amber Heard affair. The 2022 defamation trial between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard was really quite explosive, and it exposed a number of shocking revelations about both parties. But something that really caught everyone's attention was a leaked deposition that went viral online during the trial, which suggested that Cara was involved in a three-way affair between Amber and her billionaire ex-boyfriend Elon Musk. The video featured a key witness in Josh Drew, who was married to one of Amber's friends at the time, who said that to his knowledge, Amber heard Elon Musk and Cara Delevingne spent the night together. The three of them reportedly hooked up at Johnny's downtown LA penthouse in late 2016 after somewhere around the time that he and Amber split up. But there was speculation, just like with James Franco, that Amber was seeing Cara and Elon while she was still with Johnny. In the end, the supermodel did not have to testify in the trial, but for a period of time it certainly seemed like she was going to get pulled into the legal battle. Number 5. Coachella. Beyonce's culture-shaking performance at the 2018 Coachella Music Festival became so iconic that it was literally called Baychella. Like everyone else, Cara was a huge fan of the show and had nothing but good things to say. She wrote on Instagram, "I am speechless. That performance made me burst into tears and sent shivers down my spine." But her followers were not too happy with that and accused her of hypocrisy, because before the event, Cara was one of the loudest voices supporting the No-Chella movement, which was a boycott of the festival after the owner was caught making donations to anti-LGBTQ+ causes. As the backlash against her started escalating, she hit back at critics on Instagram saying, "I am allowed to shame that man and show my appreciation of an artist at the same time. I still refuse to go to a festival that is owned by someone who is anti-LGBTQ+ and pro-ban." But her followers certainly didn't see it that way, and a messy debate took place in her comment section. Number 4. The Jimmy Choo ad. In 2017, the Me Too movement was gaining some real momentum, largely due to Harvey Weinstein being exposed as a serial predator. Cara Delevingne was one of the women who came forward with her own disturbing allegations about him that same year, and revealed on Instagram that Harvey had convinced her to follow him to his hotel room and tried to kiss her before she managed to escape. But even though Cara was brave enough to speak up against sexual harassment, it somehow backfired on her when she decided to star in an ad for Jimmy Choo called Shimmer in the Dark. The short film shows her walking around New York City at night, drawing attention from several men on the street, who then start catcalling her and complimenting her. But the attention that she gets is framed as a good thing, and that's what really seemed to anger people, as they pointed to the hypocrisy of it all. Even though most of the backlash was directed at Cara, Jimmy Choo eventually decided to pull the ad as it was deemed too controversial. Number 3. Jeanette McCurdy. Described as both heartbreaking and hilarious, iCarly star Jeanette McCurdy's bluntly titled memoir, "I'm Glad My Mom Died," gives fans a glimpse into what really went on behind the cameras, something that up until now fans have only been able to speculate about. Jeanette exposes her traumatic experiences on Nickelodeon and the disturbing truth about how she was mistreated by her mother, who pushed her to be a child star, noting that the persona she was known for throughout her youth and her young adult life was a front forced upon her by her mom, who, in addition to everything else, was extremely physically inappropriate with both her and her brother, even when they were teenagers. Jeanette also discusses the perils of young fame and reveals that she developed anorexia as a child, and talks about why she ultimately quit acting altogether. She also details numerous instances where she felt exploited as a teen actor, both on and off set. The actress refers to the person behind the demands as simply the creator throughout the memoir, never naming them. She simply describes them as mean-spirited, controlling, and terrifying, calling a time when she was filming an episode of iCarly that he insisted that she wear a bikini instead of a one-piece swimsuit, which she preferred. The revelations in her new book are absolutely shocking, and they really expose the traumatic experience of being a child star. Number 2. Christina Crawford. At the height of her fame in the 1940s, Joan Crawford had a considerable reputation to uphold. She won a 1945 Best Actress Academy Award for the lead role in Mildred Pierce. She lived in a beautiful house in Brentwood, LA, and used her wealth to adopt and raise 4 children, including Christina Crawford. For all of this, Joan was celebrated in the public eye and had extensive magazine spreads about her happy family life. But to her daughter, the facade was a complete lie, and eventually her frustration at the discrepancy between her mother's private existence and her public reputation bubbled over. In 1978, she published Mummy Dearest, which told the truth about her mother's character, that she was a sadistic perfectionist. It was the first tell-all celebrity memoir to talk so openly about childhood, and subsequently was a worldwide sensation upon its release. In fact, it stayed at the top of the New York Times bestseller list for 42 weeks, and even resulted in the 1981 film adaptation starring Faye Dunaway that would go on to become a cult hit. To this day, most people associate Joan Crawford with that infamous scene where she launches into a vicious tirade after discovering Christina's dresses were hung up on wire clothes hangers. So it's safe to say that her reputation never recovered. uncovered. And coming in at number 1, Rose McGowan. In her 2018 memoir Brave, the outspoken actress takes readers behind the scenes of her life in Hollywood, where she has become known as one of the fiercest and realest women fighting to expose the ugly truth about Harvey Weinstein and the systematic misogyny that has defined the industry for so long. The most outspoken of all of Weinstein's accusers, McGowan opens up about when she first met the movie mogul at the Sundance Film Festival, but only refers to him in her book as the monster. She was at the premiere of her 1997 film Going All the Way when he sat behind her. The next day she was sent to his hotel room, where the two talked about films and her acting goals. But as he walked her out, McGowan writes that he pushed her into his bathroom, forcibly backed her into the wall, and ripped off her clothes. But most shockingly, after the incident, the actress was driven to a photo op with her Phantoms co-star Ben Affleck. When she told him what happened, he simply said, "Damn it, I told him to stop doing that." Her memoir couldn't be more relevant to current events, as to date, 84 women have come forward with allegations against Weinstein, and he is currently serving a prison sentence of 23 years. Number 10, Affair with August. So by now, we all know Jada's affair with August as Lena, but it was a secret that she never wanted exposed, and something that she tried to deny up until the very last minute. This is how it all went down. While promoting his third album, August sat down with the Breakfast Club and claimed that the Smiths, whom he considers to be like his family, had an open marriage, and Will allegedly gave the singer permission to date Jada. Quote, "I actually sat down with Will and had a conversation. He gave me his blessing." He also admitted that they deeply love each other, but that he felt like not talking about their relationship was affecting him professionally and personally, because it was a secret that was weighing him down. This was explosive when it first came out, and it's clear that Jada would have prevented this if she could. Almost immediately, her publicist came out with statements denying any romantic involvement, stating that the claims were absolutely not true. But it was already too late to backtrack, and the couple finally decided to air out their dirty laundry and went on the Red Table Talk about a week later. Number 9, Feud with Gabrielle Union. Unbeknownst to the world, Jada Pinkett Smith and Gabrielle Union were secretly not speaking to each other for almost 2 decades. The actresses, who both gained prominence in the late 90s, had a long-standing tension between them that led to a 17-year-long feud. Although neither of them can pinpoint the exact moment that caused the rift, both admit to feeling awkward around each other during this period. The two finally put an end to the silence in an episode of the Red Table Talk, where they both talked about how they've grown in terms of female relationships. Jada said, quote, "She and I did not talk for 17 years, and we could not remember why. There was just a tension between us every time we would see each other." She went on to say that there was some moment where they had left a bad taste in each other's mouths. Years later, when they finally got on the phone to figure out what exactly went wrong, they couldn't figure it out. Jada went on to suggest that it was probably just the two of them being young divas, but even they don't really know for sure. Number 8, Scientology school. This next one is super crazy. Leah Remini claimed that the Smiths founded a school based on Scientology. So to give some background, the couple opened the New Village Leadership Academy, a mysterious private school in Calabasas, California, that opened its doors in 2008 before quietly closing in 2013. While Jada furiously denied the allegations in a 2009 interview with Ebony magazine, quote, "All I can say is that it is not a Scientology school. Now, if you don't trust me and you are questioning my integrity, that's a whole different matter." But the Daily Beast actually spoke to 4 former teachers at the school who all admitted that Scientology is not only bled into the curriculum, but that it was essentially a Scientology school. Also, most of the teachers were followers of the controversial religion themselves, and there were pictures of L. Ron Hubbard hanging on the walls, who was a science fiction writer and founder of Scientology in the 70s. Not only that, but on the Academy's website, which has since been removed, it actually mentioned the study technology as, quote, "an educational model developed by L. Ron Hubbard."
At number 7, we have The Queen and Her Secret Cousins. Aired on Channel 4 for the British network in 2011 was a documentary called The Queen's Hidden Cousins, where it was revealed that there was a scandal that managed to conceal itself from the eye of the public for decades. Way back in the 1940s, the stigma around mental disabilities was very prominent, and it wasn't seen or understood as well as it is now. Obviously, with Diana, this stigma reared its ugly head, but the Queen's first cousins, Catherine and Nerissa, fell victim to their physical and mental issues as well. The nieces of the Queen Mother were placed into a mental institution in 1941 and remained there for the rest of their lives. Because of this, Nerissa and Catherine were said to have been cut off from the lives of the royal family forever. A nurse in the documentary who oversaw the cousins made it very clear that not once did the royals ever go to see Catherine or Nerissa. This claim was obviously disputed by the royal family, but I obviously don't doubt it. At number 6, we have Princess Beatrice, who dated a criminal. While she was 7th in line for the throne and held the title of being the Queen's granddaughter, Beatrice was also a socialite and philanthropist. However, she also made some fairly sketchy dating decisions in her past. For example, back in 2006, when the princess was a mere 17 years old, Beatrice started seeing American playboy Paolo Lauso. However, ahead of his relationship with Beatrice, Paolo was indicted for taking the life of a 19-year-old man named Jonathan Duchatellier. Jonathan reportedly passed away as a result of the injuries he sustained from Paolo in 2002. The incident was said to have taken place after Jonathan had confronted Paolo about his disrespect towards females at a party. However, the charge of manslaughter was eventually dropped and then reduced. This, however, did not stop Paolo from breaking the terms of his probation to woo Beatrice with a trip to the French Alps. Unsurprisingly, these two did not last. At number 5, we have the incident of the Duchess of York being caught on camera getting her toes sucked. I can't believe I just said that out loud. Sarah Ferguson was married to a certain prince whose very name isn't allowed on YouTube. That is a whole other story I'm not even allowed to talk about, but the pair ended up separating in 1992. When their marriage began to run its course, Sarah was a lot less discreet about her courting of other men, which, of course, again resulted in the royal family's snubbing. The situation escalated even further when Sarah was pictured at a beach with financier John Bryant. During their sandy getaway, Sarah was topless and reporters managed to capture some pics of Brian sucking Sarah's toes. Gross. I don't like that. Naturally, the Queen was not having any of that and ended up banning Sarah from Balmoral Castle. At number 4, we have Princess Anne and her dog, who seemingly enjoyed attacking people. As the only daughter of the late Queen Elizabeth and the sibling of Charles, surprisingly, this is one princess who I didn't think could land in any scandals. From her charity work to her seemingly kind heart, it's almost shocking to know that she's made our countdown. And yet, back when Anne and her husband were placing their dogs into a car after a walk around Windsor Great Park in 2002, one of the dogs, an English Bull Terrier, managed to escape and savagely attack 2 boys who were enjoying their bike ride in the park. The couple were taken to court and served an $880 fine that they were ordered to pay. This marked the very first time a senior royal had ever been charged with a criminal offense. In a turn of events that was greatly upsetting to the victims' families, the dog was allowed to live, and reportedly the next year or so ended up mauling one of the Queen's most beloved corgis, which the royal family probably took more seriously. That's not a fact, but they seem pretty self-interested, so it wouldn't be surprising.
Number 3, addiction to adult videos. The actress confessed a little known fact about her personal life. One of them was that she used to be addicted to sex. Quote, "My types of addictions jump from one side to the other. When I was younger, I thought I had some kind of sex addiction and that everything could be fixed with that." She claimed that she was addicted to adult movies at a time in her life when she had decided to practice abstinence. But her addiction got out of control and she was forced to stop consuming X-rated movies. She went on to say that she got hooked on hardcore movies that were very disturbing. Quote, "It's the behavior that's attached to it, because if you want to have a lot of sex, that's great, but why are you having all that sex? That's what you've got to look at." Jada also shared that once she took it too far when it came to pleasuring herself, and she admitted that while she was taking a break from men, she became way too addicted to doing it herself. And at her lowest, she was doing it 5 times a day, before she suddenly decided one day that it was enough because it had taken control of her life. Number 2, issues with Chris Rock. Viewers of this year's Oscars were left completely in shock when Will infamously walked up on stage and slapped comedian Chris Rock across the face for making jokes about Jada. But what most people don't know is that the beef between the Smiths and Rock actually goes back several years, so the tension has always been there. Chris once took aim at Jada while he was hosting the 2016 Oscars, because the couple had very publicly decided to boycott the event. At the time, their protest was due to the fact that no actors of color were nominated for the 2nd year in a row. Chris said, quote, "Jada boycotting the Oscars is like me boycotting Rihanna's panties. I wasn't invited." He actually said this during his opening monologue, and it really seemed to sting the actress. The comedian also took a dig at Will at the very same time. He spoke about the actor's performance in the movie Concussion, saying that it's not fair that Will was this good and didn't get nominated, then added it's also not fair that Will was paid $20 million for Wild Wild West. It was such a burn that the couple was clearly not able to shake off. The open relationship. While on the Red Table Talk, some more very questionable things came out that exposed the nature of Will and Jada's relationship. Basically, Will implied that the couple's decision to open up their marriage was Jada's idea, because she told him that she never believed in conventional marriage and that they needed to figure out how to make themselves themselves happy individually. So it was almost like she told him that happiness can be found with other people. But Jada's affair with August started to make a bit more sense when she openly spoke about her disappointing sex life with Will. While talking with Gwyneth Paltrow, Jada outright said that keeping the spark alive in their marriage is hard, implying that although they've been married for almost 25 years, he still doesn't know exactly what she wants in the bedroom. Quote, "Because I think you expect your partner to know what you need, especially when it comes to sex. It's like, well, if you love me, you should know. You should read my mind. That's a huge pitfall." It must have been a little embarrassing for Will when Jada insinuated that he wasn't meeting her needs, but now it's obvious she was the one pushing for the open relationship. Number 10. Billboard Music Awards. At the Billboard Music Awards in May, Cara Delevingne stole the show and captured everyone's attention with her erratic behavior and apparent obsession with Megan Thee Stallion. Several of the model's antics ended up going viral following the show, including her peering around a corner and licking her lips while staring at Megan as she posed for the photographers, which I guess was Cara's idea of a joke. Cara could be seen repeatedly lurking around the rapper, ducking in and out of the shot while sticking her tongue out and shouting. The photos took Twitter by storm, with one user writing, "Your chances of being watched by Cara Delevingne are slim but never zero." Eventually she ran onto the red carpet and grabbed a train of Megan's dress to give the photos some added movement. Some people believe that Megan looked irritated by it all. Not only that, but video footage from a party resurfaced online which showed Cara attempting to kiss Megan while they were on the dance floor, and Megan literally had to grab her shoulders and hold her back. If you're loving this video so far, please hit that like button, it would really help us out. Number 9. Licking Azalea Banks. Not too long ago, a video went viral of the model attempting to lick the rapper Azalea Banks while she was performing her hit track 212 at Leah McSweeney's Halloween party last year. The video was pretty telling because you could see that Azalea got to the end of her song, and Cara was literally on her knees in front of her with her tongue out, working her way up the rapper's legs until she was standing alongside the musician. Yes, she seemed like she was licking the entire length of her body, but it's only weird if Azalea says so, and the rapper apparently didn't seem to mind, and responded to the video on Twitter, saying that Cara is her girl through and through. Quote, "There were plenty of times I would just hide Cara in my apartment for days at a time to make sure she got some deep sleep and some actual food, and wasn't just thrown out amongst the wolves like that." Well, it seems like the nature of their relationship is super ambiguous, but obviously there's a lot of love there. Number 8. Peg the Patriarchy. In 2021, Cara attended the Met Gala wearing a white bulletproof vest with the words "Peg the Patriarchy" on it. The look drew a lot of attention and praise, but only at first. Eventually the vest drummed up a lot of controversy as Cara was accused of stealing the message from Luna Matatas, a queer woman of color who trademarked the phrase in 2015. In an Instagram post, Luna wrote, "While I'm giddy that Peg the Patriarchy made it to the Met Gala, Cara Delevingne tried to pull it off as their own. No credit to me, the creator and the owner of the trademark." Ironically, Luna said that she trademarked the phrase because she was concerned that people like Cara would co-opt her movement, and that the supermodel would grossly misrepresent everything that the original term would stand for. According to Luna, the movement is about subversion. It's not sexual and it's not about men, which is exactly how Cara described it to Keke Palmer when she was being interviewed. So when she posted the outfit on Instagram, her comment section filled up with people demanding that she credit the original designer, which she never ended up doing.
Next up is Frank Sinatra. The smooth-singing romantic who charmed his audiences into the Hall of Greats has a seriously dark secret personal life. In fact, every move Frank Sinatra made was meticulously tracked by the FBI for 40 years in pages and pages of files. Why, you may ask? Well, outside of being held in suspicion for dodging the draft because of a supposed ear infection, he is also thought to have strong mafia ties. He's been seen in cahoots with a revolving cast of characters connected to the criminal underworld, including Chicago mob boss Sam Giancana, with whom he was close friends. Apparently, the FBI was so closely tracking Sinatra because he had introduced Sam to John F. Kennedy's campaign for presidency in an attempt to deliver Union votes. Dodging the draft and electing John F. Kennedy, Sinatra is a man after my own heart. Next up is the actor who portrayed Spider-Man in the original Spider-Man movies, you know, the ones with the PlayStation font. Well, Toby Maguire has had an insane childhood that was largely hidden from the public when he became an A-lister. He came from a very financially strained family. His parents adopted several of his cousins after his aunt passed away suddenly, and the weight of now caring for all these kids left them destitute and broke. In a desperate attempt to provide for all these children, Toby's dad attempted to rob a bank. His attempt was unsuccessful, and his father had to spend some time in prison for his crime. Thankfully though, he was released after a few years because it was his first time offending and the judge sympathized with his cause. Luckily for them, they made it out of the ordeal and now Toby is an internationally recognized celebrity. Next on the list is Kevin Spacey, and not for what you might think, because really nothing can keep what he did a secret and his attempts at hiding it are abysmal at best. But what you may not know is that there are more than a few skeletons in his closet, and he's got one secret that I actually didn't know. Kevin's left-leaning political views are very well known, so it may come as a surprise that his father was vehemently racist and believed that white people were a superior race. Kevin refuses to talk about his father, but his siblings have opened up a handful of times about their traumatic childhood, often describing their father as an evil monster. Apparently, their father would also continually his kids while they were growing up, and it got so bad that Kevin's brother Randy almost took the life of his father while the young boy was hiding in a closet, but he never opened the door. Although Kevin is a reprehensible human being, no boy deserves to grow up in such a horrifying environment. Next up is a K-pop idol whose secret is definitely out of the bag at this point. We all know just how strict and borderline harmful the K-pop industry is towards its stars, often restricting diets to near starvation in an attempt to get their already lean singers to lose weight, alongside 12 to 20 hours a day of dance practice. But one K-pop idol from the band Bang Bang has some dark underground secrets that only recently came to light. Seungri was sentenced last year to 3 years in prison for the crime of running an underground nightclub that bet heavily on foreign casinos where gambling is illegal. He was also charged with providing women to business executives for, services. Apparently, he's been doing this for years, and we only recently found out during a Korean military bust. Now it seems like sadly his K-pop days are over as he spends the next 3 years behind bars.
Number 3. Stealing shirt designs. In 2015, the owner of Other Wild design studio, Rachel Burks, started selling feminist t-shirts with the slogan that was created in the 70s. She was doing it ethically and as a collaboration with the original designer. The t-shirts said, "The future is female," and they were an instant hit. But when Kara got her hands on them and posted the shirts on Instagram, they really blew up because of her huge following. The British model saw a pretty good business opportunity and announced that she was going to be making and selling her own version of the shirt and giving some of the proceeds to charity. But fans were quick to point out that she hadn't designed the shirt, and therefore it wasn't right to just sell it without crediting the original makers. And once Other Wild design studio caught on, they accused Kara of stealing the idea from a small business. They argued about who had the right to print the slogan, but because Kara was on the receiving end of most of the backlash, she eventually caved and agreed to link the company's website in her posts about the t-shirt. Number 2. Julia Fox comments. During an episode of their Forbidden Fruits podcast last year, Julia Fox and her co-host Nikki Takesh recounted a bizarre story of Kara being inappropriate towards Azealia Banks. The story goes that the two of them were at a party where the rapper was performing, and when they noticed something weird, Nikki said, "We looked to the side of the stage and we see this person trying to keep pushing past security, and we realized it was Cara Delevingne." Julia then said that they realized very quickly that Cara was wasted, and that after several attempts, she finally made her way up on stage while Azealia was performing and even stole the mic from her. Julia said that Kara's behavior was thirsty, and she could tell by Azalea's face that she was over it and just wanted to have her moment. It was a funny story that lines up very well with the video of Kara trying to lick Azalea's leg on stage, but it's probably just the way they partied together considering that the two of them are close friends. And coming in at number 1, the awkward interview. In the middle of a promotional tour for her film Paper Towns, Kara appeared on Good Day Sacramento, and it was a complete disaster from start to finish. First of all, the anchors called her Carla instead of Kara, then they asked her whether or not she had read the book on which the film is based, and why she didn't seem more excited to be on the show despite making millions from the movie. In all fairness, Kara really didn't seem too enthusiastic when it came to promoting the film, and she eventually refused to respond to their questions. She really wasn't giving them anything to work with at all, except for quite a bad attitude. But it didn't really help that one of the anchors straight up told her, "We'll let you take a little nap and maybe get a Red Bull," essentially kicking her off the program. Although there is still a debate to this day about what made the interview so uncomfortable to watch, it is certainly one for the books.
Coming in at number 10, she's not the best actor. Madonna has completely dominated the music industry, but sadly that doesn't always translate to the silver screen. She's been in 19 films throughout the course of her career, but not all of them were shiners. Starring in the 1996 film adaptation of the musical Evita, earned the singer a Golden Globe for Best Actress in a Musical or Comedy. But on the flip side, she's also won 9 Razzies. Razzies are the infamous antithesis of the Oscars for worst performances, and she won the dubious honor of Worst Actress of the Century in 2000. Rough play if you ask me. She's also turned down some pretty famous roles, including as one of the leading girls in Showgirls. While she's likely best known for acting and singing, she's also directed 2 feature films. One was in 2007 called Filth and Wisdom, the other in 2011 called W.E. Neither of these movies received the warmest of receptions from critics or audiences, and it was pretty universally panned as far as movies go. And at number 9, she suffers from brontophobia. Madonna reportedly has a massive phobia called brontophobia. Brontophobia is a fear of thunder and lightning. When she sees a storm coming, reportedly she closes all the blinds on windows and puts on giant headphones to drown out the sound of the thunder. At the end of the day, despite being one of the biggest pop stars the world has ever known, she's still very much human, with her own flaws and fears like the rest of us. Next up on the list is she dated John F. Kennedy Jr. While we all know of Madonna's infamous relationship over the years to people like Sean Penn, Vanilla Ice, Dennis Rodman, Lenny Kravitz, and Tupac, Madonna also dated the former president's son. Her disastrous marriage to Sean Penn is well recorded, and it's an open secret that it blew up due to accusations of infidelity, general chaos, and physical harm towards one another. Sean became known for his unpredictable outbursts and temper tantrums with a major jealous streak. He would often fly off the rails when he saw another man getting close to Madonna. That being said, following her messy divorce from Sean Penn, Madonna briefly dated John F. Kennedy Jr. for 6 months. In a memoir penned about the president's son that spends a bit of time delving into his romantic past, he's been linked to other celebrities like Darlie Hannah and Sarah Jessica Parker. But one of the least documented relationships he's been in was surprisingly with Madonna. Madonna was far from a big hit with the Kennedy family, with the pop star heavily leaning into the Marilyn Monroe imagery, can't imagine Jackie Kennedy being a big fan of that one, and the general disapproval of her religious iconography for fashion purposes. But the brief relationship absolutely did not last long, mostly because despite Madonna's recent past with Sean Penn, she actually found Kennedy to be much more frightening. Quote, whereas Sean would act out, perhaps give a photographer a body shot just to vent, somehow John's way seemed more personal. Madonna said that he would get up in her face, maybe an inch away, and scream at her at the top of his lungs when they were in a fight. I'm glad she left when she did.
Number 7. Holly Madison. Former Playboy bunny and Girls Next Door star Holly Madison dished on how oppressive life with Hugh Hefner really was in 2015's Down the Rabbit Hole. Madison described the many bizarre rules and rituals that Hefner imposed upon his girlfriends. For instance, that they needed to wear matching flannel pajamas, engage in group dressed in tiny skirts and bralettes, and had a daily curfew of 9 p.m. The memoir tells the story of Madison's time with Hefner from 2001 to 2008 and its aftermath. She goes into great detail about the reality of her life behind the cameras, how her depression in the Playboy mansion reached harrowing depths, yet she felt trapped there. She also opened up about her unwillingness to admit to anyone how sad she really was, and Hefner's emotional control over her. The book also explores her time on the reality show The Girls Next Door and the weirdness that was pop culture in the early 2000s. When speaking about her book, Holly said, quote, I felt like I had something to say about being in the midst of that whole thing that was going on where Paris Hilton and Jessica Simpson and Kendra was so celebrated, and I was a part of it too, for being dumb on TV. Part of the reason I wanted to write the book was to show the other side of it, which goes to show you just how much of it was all for the cameras. Number 6. Shania Twain. The Grammy-winning country singer confronted her childhood demons when she wrote her 2011 memoir From This Moment On, describing how her stepfather Jerry was physically, sexually, and verbally violent towards her and her mother Sharon. In a frank and often shocking autobiography, the singer reveals graphic and personal details about her rags to riches story and the price of ambition and success. Throughout her memoir, it also became clear that Shania experienced a harrowing degree of poverty and hunger. For instance, she claimed that sometimes there was only bread and mustard for her and her 4 siblings to eat, and they often wore plastic bread bags to cover their shoes to protect their feet during winter, and regularly went to school without lunch. The singer also had to deal with a double betrayal in her life. She wrote about the heartache that she went through when she found out about the affair between her husband of 14 years, Robert Lang, and her best friend. As a result, Shania became so distraught that she literally lost her voice to spasmodic dysphonia, which left her unable to sing. So her memoir explores how she worked through all that heartbreak. Number 5. Sharon Stone. She became a Hollywood icon and a household name after her role in Basic Instinct, and in a 2021 memoir, The Beauty of Living Twice, she finally reveals the vulnerability behind her femme fatale persona. She goes into great detail about her experiences in Hollywood, like how she was tricked into that famous shot in Basic Instinct, and ill-equipped for fame when it finally came to her. She was also routinely taken advantage of in the male-dominated film industry. She claims that the filmmakers were not entirely honest about what they captured with the camera, and so they didn't have her complete consent to put that scene in the film. Quote, "I do think we have to create a think tank that really addresses what is a crime, what is a felony, what is consent." The name of her memoir actually comes from a life-changing brain hemorrhage that she suffered in 2001 that almost killed her. It left her without the basic ability to function, and she ended up losing her family, her career, and a huge part of her life, which she had to start again from the ground up. Stone also talks about how she went through a childhood of and violence to a career in an industry that actually brought back a lot of those memories for her. Although in Hollywood, it was all hidden under the cover of money and glamour. Number 4. Leah Remini. A former longtime Scientologist, King of Queens star Leah Remini opened up about her experiences in the church in her 2015 memoir, Troublemaker. As a teenager in the church's Sea organization, Remini said that she was reprimanded for studying by the pool at the Scientology-run Sandcastle Hotel in Florida, and as a punishment was taken out to sea on a boat, thrown overboard, and nearly drowned by a group leader. Not only that, but she was also once fined $40,000 after confessing to stealing food from the headquarters 20 years earlier. In her memoir, Leah also made some shocking allegations about several well-known Hollywood celebrities. In fact, she recalled a time that her and her husband, Angelo, spent time at Tom Cruise's Beverly Hills mansion when he invited a group of well-known Scientologists and other celebrities, including the Smiths. She actually called Will and Jada Pinkett Smith famous friends of the church, and even mentioned the Scientology school that they opened, revealing that despite Jada's denial, she is indeed good friends with Tom Cruise and an active member of the controversial religion.
Coming in at number 3, Madonna doesn't like being a material girl. One little known fact about Madonna is that she has remarked that she regrets ever recording the track that would become her moniker, Material Girl. It is one of her most famous songs and became the nickname that she is most often represented by. Similarly, she also doesn't feel like she wants to be associated with a song like a virgin either. Quote, "I like them both because they were iconic and provocative at the time, but also they're so unlike me. I am not a materialistic person, and I certainly wasn't a virgin. And by the way, how can you be like a virgin? I like the play on words. I thought they were clever. They're so geeky, they're cool." She also said that she never expected Material Girl to become as big of a hit as it was. Quote, "I've never been a good judge of what things are going to be huge or not. I'm resourceful, and if I ended up in a log cabin in the middle of the forest, that would work too. These things are not mandatory for my happiness. That's what I meant by I'm not a materialistic person." Coming in at number 2, Madonna and Prince wanted to make a musical together. In a 1989 interview with Madonna, she was asked who her musical aspirations are, and she named Prince as a vocalist that she admired. She then discussed her collaboration called Love Song. Quote, "We'd been friends for years and admire each other's work, so we'd always talked about getting together to write. And in fact, there was a moment last year where we were possibly going to write a musical together. I went to a studio in Minnesota and worked on some stuff just to get a feel of what it would be like to collaborate." She then stated that her and Prince had a lot of difficulty creating a completed track. After she worked with him consistently for a few days, she left the studio. She no longer had any interest in writing a musical with him. Then, a while later, Prince approached Madonna with a demo that she enjoyed, but they ended up having to write the full track together long distance because Prince lived in Minneapolis and Madonna hated Minneapolis. The track, Love Song, did not chart the Billboard Hot 100. And finally at number 1, Madonna regrets posing naked for her book. While this article was posted quite a few years ago when Madonna was 49 years old, and she's 63 now, Madonna has stated that she seriously regrets posing naked so often in her youth. In her 1992 book, Sex, she believes that the reception of it was less about the beauty of the female form and expressing sexuality, and more so about how people branded her as an exhibitionist. She admitted that, at one point, she was much less adventurous, branding herself as prude. Quote, "I really was not getting up to much. I don't think I was as naughty as I could have been. I was quite straight. I was a geek when I was young. I did not really do much that was interesting." I think from what I got from this interview, it was less about the actual posing naked that she regrets, but more so about the public's reception about the book. It branded her as loose rather than expressing beauty through art.
At number 10, we have King Charles and his raunchy phone calls with Camilla. Now this one is pretty gross, honestly. We are full aware of King Charles's marriage to his previous wife Diana and how it was not a good time at all. There was infidelity on both sides here, but the one that really peed people off was Charles's affair with Camilla Parker Bowles. During the time that Camilla and Charles were still with their husband and wife respectively, the two did have some rather interesting secret phone calls. 1992 was the year that Charles and Diana officially separated, but it was also the year when one of these phone conversations were leaked to the public, and Charles had quite a few interesting things to say during that conversation. Things that I don't think I'm even really allowed to say here. Let's just say it had to do with feminine hygiene and call it a day. If you are interested, feel free to research because I'm moving on. Hey, if you think the royal family's dark secrets are juicy, hit that like button. It really helps out our channel. Thanks, guys. And with that, at number 9, we have Diana. Just the whole situation. And in a way, this also kind of extends to the more recent Meghan Markle controversy. You see, Diana was a very open individual. The people loved her, and she had no issue being honest about her hardships. Among the royals, Diana was the most human, and she would make this fact known by being open and honest about her human struggles, especially being a part of the incredibly structured, judgmental, and old-fashioned royal family. In November 1995, the princess gave a television interview during which she spoke of her unhappiness in her personal life and the pressures of her public role. Specifically, Diana suffered from depression and bulimia, which she talked about in length, and it honestly accrued her a lot more love from the people than she already had. And in turn, it also turned the public against the royal family even more, especially as Charles and friends of his would use her words against her, claiming that anything she accused Charles of was caused by her psychological issues. It's kind of truly disgusting and adds to the reason some people believe the monarchy should be abolished. At number 8, we have people's doubts about whether or not Charles is actually Harry's biological father. With all the scandal that was surrounding Charles and his former wife Diana, it was starting to look like there couldn't possibly be any more reports about them that could surface. That was until a few people scratched beyond the surface in one of Diana's tell-alls. In 1995, in an interview on BBC's Panorama with a journalist named Martin Bashir, Diana admitted to an affair she carried out for 5 years with a military man named James Hewitt. There was intense speculation once Diana passed that James was potentially the biological father of her son Harry and not Charles as originally believed. And despite their ever so prominently similar looks, James denied being Harry's real dad. James detailed that it wouldn't have been possible because Harry was conceived prior to the start of his and Diana's relationship. Still, people be speculating.
Number 7, failed music career. Miller's passion for singing didn't end after they began pursuing their acting career. Their band, Sons of an Illustrious Father, has over 22,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, which means that despite Miller's fame and notoriety, the band hasn't really seen much success over a decade of making music. So things started to make sense when in May of this year, 2 musicians came forward accusing Miller of stealing music they worked on and releasing it without giving them credit. Music producer Oliver Ignatius and rapper Guy Scavera claimed that the actor stole the music they worked on together and posted it to social media without credits. Ignatius met up with Miller in both the Northeast and Hawaii to collaborate on new music, but soon realized that they, quote, seemed to be on a very dangerous spiral, and said that working with the actor actually felt like pulling teeth. In fact, they called their behavior atrocious, belligerent, threatening, and incredibly aggressive. But after Ignatius quit the project, Miller then posted the unfinished music online, including songs that they had not worked on together at all. Now Ignatius plans to file a court order for Miller to take the music down. Number 6, altercations with fans. fans. The Flash actor has had so many disturbing and at times violent altercations with fans that there's almost too many to mention. One was actually captured on video in 2017 at a San Diego Comic-Con event when a fan jokingly asked Miller to smell their breath, and Miller responded by kissing the fan directly on the mouth, planting a big kiss on the man's lips without clear consent. The trouble is that Miller seemed to be slightly intoxicated in the video, leading fans to question if they were drunk. And in a since deleted tweet, a disturbing video shows Miller choking a woman at a bar in Iceland. The incident took place after Miller was approached by a group of eager young fans, and the actor appeared to lose their temper at the young woman for no apparent reason. She was then grabbed by the throat and thrown to the ground. But the actor seemed to have evaded a lot of heat for the altercation, as some fans claim that it's still a joke. Number 5. Vermont farm. Up until now, people have only been able to speculate about what really goes on in their Vermont farm. But recently, a new report has made headlines alleging even more concerning activity involving the actor and people that are underage. According to Rolling Stone, Miller is currently housing a 25-year-old mother and her 3 young ones at their elusive home that they share with their bandmates and friends. The report suggests that the property doubles as an unlicensed farm, which grows a certain leafy green substance and is also littered with weapons. The mother claims that the actor helped her escape the domestic violence that was occurring in her relationship, telling Rolling Stone anonymously that Miller's home has been a healing haven for the family, but the young ones are reportedly exposed to a large amount of smoke from the illicit substance in poorly ventilated environments. And sources who've been inside the property say that there are about 8 weapons of various sizes just lying around the living room, with some propped up next to a pile of stuffed animals. One source told a particularly disturbing story about one of the little ones finding a loose bullet and putting it in their mouth. Number 4. Mia Solange. Miller has been accused of inflicting twisted acts upon a former intimate partner, Mia Solange. These acts range from physical violence to emotional manipulation after they started dating in 2019. This claim against Miller came to light on April 1st when a Twitter account dedicated to Ezra Miller receipts made a number of messages public exchanged between themselves and the accuser, a young TikToker by the name of Mia Solange, where she declared that Ezra flew her from Hawaii to Oklahoma to work on a movie, and that she was only 19 at the time. She also sent a photo of bruises on her leg supposedly sustained from Ezra, claiming that he would aggressively bite her. Solange's claims against Miller would garner more widespread attention on April 23rd after they shared a now deleted video montage to TikTok featuring photos of the two, most of which were previously seen in the screenshot of their camera roll, and declared, quote, "Ezra Miller is not a good human, and I can finally say so without being terrified." Sounds like it was an absolute nightmare.
At number 3, we have Princess Margaret's string of affairs. The Queen's sister, the late Princess Margaret, managed to grasp the interest of the public due to her interesting lifestyle choices. Margaret never once feared living her life however she pleased, as most shouldn't, and was widely known to be a heavy drinker and smoker since she was 15. Despite her marriage to Anthony Armstrong Jones, a photographer, in 1960, Margaret didn't quite slow down her player lifestyle. She started an affair with a gardener in 1973 who was reportedly 17 years younger than her, and she wasn't able to escape the press in 1976 when a picture of her and her reported lover, Roddy Llewellyn, made the front page and headlined the now discontinued news outlet News of the World. This was just the start of Margaret's string of affairs that rocked the boat in her marriage, and by the time 1978 rolled around, the former couple's divorce was finalized, but I'm sure she was perfectly fine. In at number 2, we have first cousins Queen Victoria and Prince Albert. The running joke surrounding the royal family all mixing their DNA and bearing children together has been a constant thing for as long as the royals have been. However, some people don't actually know that this banter is factually correct for some of the couples of the royal family. Cousins and more distant relatives often get betrothed to each other, something about royal bloodlines, which is thankfully a very archaic way of thinking. Even the late Queen Elizabeth and her husband were related. Philip and Elizabeth shared a great-great-grandmother, Queen Victoria. Philip was a direct descendant of Princess Alice, the third child of Queen Victoria, while Queen Elizabeth is a direct descendant of Queen Victoria's oldest son, who became King Edward VII. Speaking of Victoria, her and her husband Albert were actually first cousins. They got married in 1840 and shared 9 children in their time together. The thing is, royals always married others of similar status in the world, and since historically, royals would make alliances through marriage, bloodlines are interconnected all over Europe. Not really a secret, but still, Ick. At number 1, we have Princess Anne's son-in-law who spent a night in a dwarf-tossing club. Yes, this one is strange, and yes, it did very much happen. Despite Mike Tyndall not being a royal by blood, his everlasting marriage to Princess Anne's daughter, Zara Phillips, decrees that he is on the ends with the royals. However, his connection to the family could not save the English rugby player from the backlash that occurred after it was reported he spent one of his nights in 2011 at a, quote, dwarf-tossing club in New Zealand. According to articles from the time, Mike and his team went to celebrate their win against Argentina at the club. And despite Mike insisting he nor his teammates actually threw a dwarf, just him being present in such a location was enough to spark massive outrage in the media. And understandably so, that was kind of messed up.
First up on our list today is Marlon Brando. Marlon Brando is considered to be one of the most handsome Hollywood stars to grace the silver screen. He is also known for being an extremely talented actor who led a bit of a rough and tumble life. But what you may not know is that his ladies' man attitude resulted in various affairs and marriages, and, well, 8 kids, with the actor adopting 3 additional kids on top of that. And sadly, some of these children would have extremely unhappy lives. In 1990, one of Marlon Brando's sons, Christian, shot his sister Sheehan's boyfriend. Apparently, he had suspected that Sheehan's boyfriend was harming her physically, and so Christian ended up taking his life when the altercation escalated. He was charged with manslaughter and served 6 years in prison. Sadly, that wasn't the only horror that the Brando children would go through, as only 5 years later, Sheehan tragically ended up taking her own life after a diagnosis with schizophrenia and a steady mental decline. Next on the list is Liv Tyler. We all know her as the stunning half-elf woman in Lord of the Rings. She's also known as the daughter of Steven Tyler, the eccentric frontman of Aerosmith. However, that wasn't always the case. Liv Tyler was originally born as Liv Rundgren, and she believed that the famous musician and music producer Todd Rundgren was her father. However, a chance encounter as an 8-year-old with Steven Tyler started to unravel Liv's true parentage. During the meeting, Steven pointed out the eerie similarities between his own daughter and Liv, which led to her mother finally confessing the secret. Liv wasn't related to Todd at all, and in fact, her mother had kept the secret to protect her daughter because Steven was going through some serious substance issues at the time of their brief relationship. Liv eventually changed her last name to Tyler, but kept Rundgren as her middle name in homage to the man who raised her as his own at some point. Damn, I wish I had 2 rock star dads. Next up is MMA legend Ronda Rousey. She's got a spectacular record, and it's impossible to penetrate her amazing fighting legacy as she has cemented herself as one of the greats. Her personal life though, well, a little touchier. In fact, Ronda has a history of aggression in her past relationships, having violently harmed an ex-boyfriend. She is also a conspiracy theorist who has some extremely harmful opinions. She shared on her Twitter that she believes that the horrifying Sandy Hook incident was actually a manufactured incident and that the people and children involved were actually actors. I can't think of anything more harmful and disgusting than promoting that the real-life harm of was done to take away guns from Americans. Ronda shared the video and described it as, quote, extremely interesting and a must-watch documentary. Eventually, after obvious backlash, Ronda deleted the video and her manager attempted to scrub any trace of it from the internet, which obviously didn't happen because it is in fact the internet.
At number 6 we have Selena Gomez. This actress has a matching tattoo with her Brit bestie, and she revealed the meaning behind it through her virtual interview on Live with Kelly and Ryan. According to Selena, Cara had such a profound impact on her life that she dedicated the rose tattoo to their bond, proving that their friendship is truly tight-knit. Selena is known for her matching tattoos, as she has multiple with other important people in her life, like her mother and her best friends. The news of her and Cara's tattoos came from a short clip that was featured on the tattoo artist's Instagram. The 11-second video of Cara was uploaded hours following the post of Selena, where Cara got hers on her ribcage and Selena got hers on her back. These gal pals' friendship goes back many years, ever since they starred in the Bad Blood music video by Taylor Swift together. Their relationship further solidified itself when the duo went on Selena's end-of-the-year family vacation on the outskirts of Dallas in 2014. Most recently, the stars were reunited through their co-starring in the 2nd season of the comedy drama series Only Murders in the Building. Naturally, with such a tight
friendship, it's safe to assume that Selena is quite worried about her bestie. At number 5 we have Jay-Z. Jay-Z surely must be concerned over the fact that the British supermodel wound up kicked off his private plane, right? The incident recently took place at Los Angeles International Airport, where reports stated Cara's demeanor was messy and jittery. Paparazzi pictures of the actress circulated the internet, which displayed Cara twirling wildly with no shoes on and undone hair with bruises on her arms. At the time, she was wearing a Britney Spears tee, and the public has since linked Britney's former 2007 breakdown, due to the pressures of being a Hollywood star, to the one they believe Cara may also soon experience. Prior to this, Cara was also captured looking zoned out, smoking a pipe, and dropping liquid from a clear bottle into her mouth in front of an adult store, as well as standing on top of a vehicle while partying in Ibiza for her birthday. At number 4 we have Rihanna. Rihanna and Cara used to be pretty close back in the day. With Rihanna being the it girl and fashion trendsetter, it makes sense that this very thing connected her to one of her besties. They met at a fashion show in 2012 and quickly became fast friends who shared a super close bond. In their several years of knowing and working together, they've done a lot. This includes their 2017 film appearance in Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. However, the movie was reported to have tanked at the box office. Despite this though, the modeling pair were excited about working together at the time. Although not much has been reported about them in current days, one can assume that Rihanna could be pretty worried over the behavior Cara has been reportedly displaying over the past few weeks.
Next up is Hollywood actor Casey Affleck. I'm surprised we haven't done this one yet, honestly. Known for movies like Manchester by the Sea and Gone Baby Gone, Affleck is a critic's best friend. But he's not everyone's best friend. In fact, Casey has been accused by multiple women of committing horrifying acts against them. Some say that he snuck into their bedrooms, others that when they refused his advances, he sent them violent and aggressive texts. Other women have said that he ordered a crew member to expose himself to this one woman. All of these allegations were attempted to be taken to court to be filed as multi-million-dollar lawsuits, but they were both settled for unknown amounts. Thanks to these settlements, we may never know if these accusations are true or not, but it seems really odd that not many people are talking about it these days. In fact, when asked about it, Casey brushes it off as hearsay and his dark past seems to be fading into secrecy once again. Second to first on our list is Oprah Winfrey. The talk show host who revolutionized the game, Oprah's name is synonymous with the monolithic empire she's built surrounding her image. She's known for her lovable, relatable, and welcoming personality, but her humble beginnings make her rise to fame all the more deserved. In fact, Oprah was born in Mississippi to a single teenager mom, and she grew up in extreme poverty. During her childhood, the cost of raising a baby became too much for the young mother, so she sent Oprah to go live with her father, or at least one of the men who she thinks might have been her father. During her time with her dad, Oprah's mom gave birth to 2 more babies, one of which was given up for adoption. The real kicker here is that Oprah only found out about her sister Patricia in 2010. While a gut reaction to this news may be to cast harsh judgment on Oprah's mother, it is important to remember that it is impossible to know what it is like unless you have been in her position. For those who have been, we think you understand the brevity of her decision. Last up is Nicolas Cage. Now, I guess it's not exactly a dark secret here, and I may be cheating a little bit, but I only just found this out when I was writing the script, and wow, wild. Anyways, Nicolas Cage is known for his fun and sometimes extremely cheesy acting in movies like Face Off and Ghost Rider. But what you may not know is that Nicolas Cage isn't even his real name. In fact, Cage's birth name is Nicholas Kim Coppola, and his uncle is the famed director Francis Ford Coppola. The name change resulted from his wish not to cash in on the fame associated with the Coppola name in Hollywood, though the actor did end up appearing in several of Francis's films. It is quite believable when thinking about it for a few seconds, as both talents are just as eccentric as the other. The principal difference is that Francis Ford Coppola's odd ideals gave the world masterpieces like The Godfather and Apocalypse Now, while Cage gifts audiences with wild overacting and melodrama.
At number 10 we have Margot Robbie. Margot and Cara were friends long before they became co-stars for their 2016 film Suicide Squad. Their initial introductions were done at a formal party they both attended. When speaking about how they met, Margot told E.T. quickly. When the waitress asked, "Would you like water? Would you like champagne?" I said, "God, I want a tequila." Cara, who I'd never met before, was about 5 meters away from me, and her ears just pricked up and she said, "Did someone say tequila?" I was like, "You and I are so going to be best friends." Since then, Margot has expressed her deepest genuine love for Cara, so it comes without a doubt that further concerns were raised when Margot seemed to be struggling to keep her composure while she left her bestie's $7 million West Hollywood home on September 12th. It was midday during the occurrence when Margot appeared to be gloomy and wiping tears as she clutched a bag with reported toiletries prior to her jumping into an awaited car to head to LA's International Airport. It's still unknown if Cara was home while Margot was visiting. Margot's pop-up took place just under a month since the duo celebrated Cara's 30th birthday in Spain with their other close friends and loved ones. If you haven't yet, smash that subscribe button for more regularly updated celebrity content. At number 9 we have Poppy Delevingne. Cara's sister Poppy, who's based in London, was reported to have also visited Cara's home over that same weekend, with further media news releasing pieces that stated the socialite rushed to be with her sister because she was worried about her well-being amid the public incidents blended in with her no-show events. Apparently, when reporters asked how the model was nowadays, Poppy updated them about Cara's current state by informing them that Cara is doing fine. The sisters share an incredibly close bond, and Cara was Poppy's only bridesmaid in her wedding with her husband James Cook back in 2014. The two even launched their own sibling wine brand with their other sister Chloe in 2020. As children, Cara was said to have slept in Poppy's bed for years, and that Poppy played an integral part in helping raise Cara, as their mother Pandora was a struggling addict before their birth with a later diagnosis of a medical condition called bipolar disorder. At number 8 we have Sienna Miller. Sienna is one of Cara's closest friends, apparently because of her older sister. It was stated that Poppy and Sienna lived together in New York a short while after leaving school. Cara and Sienna have had strings of conversations circulating about them regarding the club kiss they shared at the beginning of the year. Allegedly, an onlooker informed Page Six in January, quote, "It was like fluid friends. Sienna made out with this tall guy and then she made out with Cara. It was like a fun night out." Additionally, an insider with claims of knowing both celebs even chimed in that the duo have been longtime friends who enjoy a thrilling time together, so as a whole they are a fun pair. Sienna was also another close pal who joined Cara's 30th birthday celebrations in Ibiza last month.
And at number 7, a bug was named after her. Listen, I know this one's out there and it's really not even a secret or something you try to hide. I just thought it was fun, so I'm putting it in. I wish the video was titled Top 10 Madonna Facts because this lady is interesting, alright? Sue me. But anyways, in 2006, scientists named a species of microscopic water-dwelling organisms, which is most commonly known as the water bear, after Madonna. The water bear's scientific name is, and bear with me, get it, Echinyscus madonnae. Don't quote me on that. It's also called a tardigrade, which is much easier. Although I'm sure it's because the researchers just loved Madonna's music, naming a bug after her is quite fitting, and I'd be proud to share a name with a water bear because it's basically invincible. Living for upwards of 120 years without food or water while withstanding harsh environmental conditions, these bugs are absolute tanks. For someone as resilient as Madonna, I'm sure she has some pride for her little bug, as both of them have managed to remain strong and consistent throughout their lives. Although it is weird that a water bug born on the same day as Madonna will outlive her by quite a few decades. Coming in at number 6, she kissed Drake at Coachella and it was so awkward. Okay, this one definitely isn't a secret considering how extensive the media coverage was, but I'm struggling here, so give me a break. At Coachella in 2015, Madonna appeared during a Drake performance where she danced around him while he was sitting in a chair. Then she went right up to him and basically stuck her tongue down his throat on stage for all to see. The shocked look on Drake's face afterwards definitely wasn't pleasant, and the non-consensuality of it all was definitely an extremely hot topic. Coming in at number 5, Madonna reminded Beyonce and Jay-Z that she is the master. Again, also not a secret because people ran with it, but Madonna has posted a Photoshop picture of Jay-Z and Beyonce gazing at photos of Madonna's album. She captioned it, quote, "Learning from the master." People were pissed that a white woman used the term master to show her superiority over two black individuals. In response, Madonna didn't delete the post, but she did edit the word master out of it so it just said learning instead. I guess that works too. Coming in at number 4, she didn't actually move to New York City with only $35. Okay, so this one may be a bit disputed, but there may not be tons of truth to the infamous up-and-coming Madonna story. The legend is that Madonna left her small rural town where she lived with her 5 other siblings and traveled to one of the most expensive cities in the world, New York. Apparently, she also only had $35 in her pocket and used that money to claw her way up to fame. It is a true rags to riches story about using pure willpower and drive to become one of the greatest stars of all time. But it may not even be true. In fact, Madonna's own brother disputes this story. He stated that, in fact, she had a few $100s in her pocket given to her by family to help her start out, and she had some connections and contracts underway to immediately start as a backup dancer once she landed in the city. While it's still an extremely impressive feat to go from pure normalcy with little money to just how big Madonna is, the story of her only having $35 may be a case of broken telephone, and people deliberately stretching the truth to make it seem even more impossible than it already was.
At number 3, we have Taylor Swift. When it boils down to Taylor's relationship with Cara, their friendship has never wavered. As a matter of fact, Cara told Variety that she and Taylor once lived together, and that Taylor has been a constant support in her life over the years. In 2019, Cara could not stop gushing about Taylor's song You Need to Calm Down. When she spoke with Variety about it, she stated, "What Taylor is doing is brilliant." Cara further praised Taylor for being a vocal advocate for the LGBTQ+ community in her time, as somewhat of a nod to how vocal Cara has been about her own sexuality. Cara has also stated that she was super moved by the message of support, that she shed tears when she first listened to the song. When Taylor dropped her Folklore album in 2020, Cara was right there to support her. She posted an Instagram story with her in one of Taylor's promotional cardigans. According to Taylor, Cara's unwavering, genuine support for her has not gone unnoticed. In fact, Taylor solidified Cara's loyalty to her as early as 2019, when she was mid-deep in the mess of her Scooter Braun music purchasing issue. At the time, Justin Bieber was reportedly in the defense of Scooter when he posted an open letter about the situation to Instagram, and Cara jumped to Taylor's side to share her thoughts. In screenshots posted by Teen Vogue, Cara blasted Justin's upload with, "I wish you spent less time sticking up for men and more time trying to understand women and respecting their valid reactions. Take a step back and try to learn from this. We should all be on the same team, end of story." And this spicy clapback was only the start for Cara, as she later shared the screenshot of the exchange of Justin's IG page to her story with a caption of "Love you at Taylor Swift," once her comments were revealed to have been removed. At number 2, we have Ajira Boa. Ajira and Cara's relationship blossomed through their time as teen models. In 2017, during a joint interview, the pair admitted that they weren't entirely sure when their first official introductions to one another took place. Ajira stated, "You were walking around on the street in London in a cardboard box," when she recalled one of her earliest memories of Cara. When they sat down with Glamour to do some more reminiscing, the lifelong pals joked about their time as friends, which included their first trip to the Burning Man festival, where they were supposedly driven to the event by a blind pregnant woman, as Cara described, among many other events. Quote, "People call us model best friends, but we were friends before. What I've always been grateful for in our friendship is that we expect absolutely nothing from each other, just friendship." Just like Selena and Cara, these two also have matching tattoos to symbolize their close relationship, but theirs are halves of a red inked heart on their hands. At number 1, we have Lady Mary Chartreuse. Both actors' upbringings hail from pretty privileged backgrounds, so it's not much of a surprise that Cara obtains a few aristocratic friends of her own. Still, she and Poppy have been gal pals with Mary for many years now. Mary is the daughter of the Earl of Weems and the niece of Daphne and Guinness, and has most recently posed with Cara at a high society beauty charity fundraising event earlier this year in May. Mary has been sober ever since 2018, but this didn't stop her from accompanying Cara and her other celebrity besties in Ibiza for Cara's elaborate 30th birthday festivities. However, this could mean Cara's most recent behavior could be especially concerning for Mary.